This video is for Reading Informational Standard 9 and 10.3, Text Structure. You are to analyze how the author unfolds an analysis or series of ideas or events, including the order in which the points are made, how they are introduced and developed, and the connections that are drawn between them. In order to analyze how the author unfolds his or her ideas, you need to understand informational text structures. Description, sequence or chronological order, cause and effect, problem and solution, compare and contrast, and even argument are structures that you should know, but we will review. So I have graphic organizers. You can use these to map out what you're reading as you read an informational text if you want to write it down on a piece of paper, or even just keep it in your mind as you read to help you recognize what structure an author is using. So a description obviously describes something, whatever the topic is. They'll then give you traits about that topic and then further supporting details for each trait. So you can map it out just like this on your paper and have a better idea of the structure. Sequence or chronological order is another structure. Sequence is going to be the steps in which something has to happen. Chronological order is more specific to times and dates that things have happened. So you'll see that a lot with history, but either way it goes, there's a specific order in which they do. So 1 comes before 2, 2 comes before 3, and the author writes things in the order that they happen. Cause and effect can look like this. Several causes. The author will include details about each cause and then end up with an effect of those causes. Or it's possible that you'll have one cause and its details leading towards several effects. So either way it goes, you've got cause leading to effect. Then problem and solution, which could include the cause and effect of the problem, but it is definitely going to go into a solution. And that may be a proposed solution that hasn't happened yet, but they're suggesting it and then giving details about how that solution could fix the problem. Or it may be a solution that's already happened, and then they go into details about how it did fix the problem. But either way, you've got your problem and you've got your solution and description of the solution. Okay, so compare and contrast may not look exactly like this, but it gives you an idea of how you can map it out. You may have a paper that's only comparison or only contrasts and gives the differences. You may have more than 2 subjects, but you can write it out however works for you. If you see similarities being drawn between subjects or differences being shown, and that's what the majority of the text is, you know you're looking at a compare-contrast. So you can write it out like this or however works for your text. And lastly, argument is important because not only do you need to read texts that are argumentative, but you also will have to write them. And those are going to have a claim. It's something that could be argued. And then there will be reasons. The author will provide evidence for each reason. And a good argument will have a counterclaim. So they'll take a opponent of their claim's best argument against it, and then they're going to go ahead and refute it and say why it's wrong. So it's like they're already taking the steam out of somebody else's argument against theirs. And then it ends with a concluding statement. You can screenshot this if you need it. It does not have argument, but it has the rest. And on that right column, there are signal words to help you spot the structures if there's maybe one that you have a hard time spotting, or maybe you get confused between 2. That'll help you. You just have to be careful when you're looking at signal words only, you're looking at the whole text, because it's completely like it. You definitely have a possibility of coming across some of these signal words in the middle of a text that they don't apply to. Because maybe I'm writing a cause and effect paper, but in order to describe the cause, I've included descriptive words in one paragraph. So I might say, for example, but that doesn't mean that my whole paper is a description. So just keep that in mind. Also, you may have a question that really only relates to one paragraph, so you can see those structures within a paper and not just apply to the whole thing. Okay, so how will you be tested? Well, if you're taking the English 2 state test, you might see questions that look like this. How does the author develop his argument? You're probably going to have answer choices that mention description, or he compares this, or he gives the solution. You know, there's going to be hints. How does the author support her claim? How does the author develop the central idea of, and they've given you a central idea, but now you need to explain how they support that with their structure. And how does the author develop the idea that it may be just a smaller idea within the text that you need to explain how they supported it. On the ACT, it looks a little different. How does the author use the description of something to make the point that? So you're going to look for that structure of a description. The passage makes the claim that this claim because, and then you're going to fill in the blank with your correct answer choice. Or in the passage, the argument is made that whatever the argument is, because they, and then you're filling in the blank with the correct answer. So you still have to look for those structures to answer your questions, even though they're not actually asking you what type of text structure is this text. Okay, one last example. We don't have the article here because I wasn't going to make you read the whole article on this video, but if you just look at this question, just the question part, not even the answer choices, you can see that it's asking about text structure. Which of the following describes how the author develops his analysis of teenagers' behavior? So that how the author develops his analysis is a big hint that you're looking at the structure. And the answer choices hint to it as well. He describes, he compares. Those are hints to text structure. So if you've been paying attention to the structure of the text and reading carefully, you know what structure's been used, and also you'll know which one of those is right. Even if you know it's a description, now you've narrowed it down to 2, and you can look and see which one actually applies to the article.